Hi, I'm Scott Morris, and welcome to Classical Guitar Complete. We're going to be applying some concepts in my book, Classical Guitar Complete from Basics to Bach, to a very well-known classical guitar study or etude by Matteo Carcassi. This is the etude number 3 from Opus 60. Most guitar players know this piece. If they haven't studied it, then certainly they've heard others play it. And I think it's just a really good sort of place for us to begin with left hand, right hand technique, and just sort of working out some of the best strategies for coming up with a convincing interpretation of a piece. But the first thing I want to do is talk about what an etude is, an etude or a study. Well, etude is the French word for study, and it's not just an exercise. For instance, at the university I teach at, sometimes students feel really, I don't know if guilty is the right word, but they feel self-conscious about playing anything that says etude on stage for a concert, if they have a recital, or just for a weekly performance class, whatever it might be. And I always point out that etudes are just as much pieces of music as they are exercises. I mean, the whole point is that it's not just an exercise, but you're learning something, whether it be technical or maybe it's more of an interpretive thing. There are a lot of etudes that focus on things like dynamics or you name it. But they're music, so you can certainly play them in concert. So this isn't necessarily something just for the practice room. And if you look at pianists and people like that, I mean, a lot of piano recitals have Chopin etudes or Liszt or whatever it might be. So well, we've got Carcassi, so we're gonna live with that. So the first thing I'm going to do after this is I'm going to play the piece for you, and then we're going to come back and talk to you about a little bit of right hand, a little bit of left hand, and then putting it all together in order to come up with hopefully a convincing interpretation of Carcassi's Etude number 3. Okay, so let's first talk about the right hand, and then we're going to talk about the left hand. Now, one of the most important things to do when you're learning an etude is to know what it is the etude is focusing on. Too many people play etudes, and I mentioned earlier in the video that an etude is a piece of music, but it's also a study. So it's important for you to have identified what it is you're supposed to be studying with this piece. So everybody's got their opinions. There's some really obvious things here. I'm always one who looks at etudes in sort of multifaceted ways. It doesn't have to be an etude for just one thing. For instance, a lot of people with this say it's a triplet arpeggio, and that's pretty clear. It's pretty obvious, but that's not the only thing there. But since that is the most obvious here, let's focus on that first. So let's talk about the right hand. Now I'm going to use the left hand here as well, but then we're going to really just zoom in on the right hand. I'll get to the left hand in a minute. So it's a fairly repetitive right hand pattern. So you've got this P, I, M, A, I, M, A, I, M, P, I, M. And then your chords change. As you go through through there, but that's a pretty reliable pattern there. So. Okay, now it's not exactly just that straightforward, because you also have to know that there's a melody on top of that. So not all notes are created equal here. One of the things guitar players often do is they dig in a little too much with the thumb, so they maybe do something like this. You don't want to do that because you're putting way too much emphasis on the bass line there. You're going to hear that anyway, and the thumb for most of us is it's got a big nail on it there and can be pretty loud. And also most guitars, that open A string is going to be one of the louder notes on the guitar. So you've got to analyze the music a little bit and say, well, where's the melody? Right there, and it's going to go to that, then. So you've got this really nice little melody on top. So you've got to bring that out. Now, how do you do that? Well, it's a fairly straightforward thing. You just move the string more. When you're going to play a note louder, you move the string more. You don't hit the string harder, you move it more. So you just dig in a little bit more and you let that go. So if I'm going to practice this first little bit here, back off, back off, back off, dig in. Bringing out that melody. You're making it really clear. Now, I've heard a lot of guitar teachers out there say for Etude number 3, you want to play, and I've actually heard the word, you have to play a rest stroke on that first string. And, I disagree with that for a number of reasons. One of the reasons being, if you play a rest stroke on the first string, you're going to cut off the second string. And since it's an arpeggio, you're losing a note in your chord. So I don't like that because it thins out the harmony. That's one issue, and if you're studying your theory, a lot of times you're cutting off the third there, and that's not such a good thing to do. The other thing I think you need to for what it's worth, consider in the early 19th century, there's a little bit of debate if they were really using rest stroke the way we use it today. So I really doubt Carcassi would have played a rest stroke there on one of those early 19th century guitars. They don't always sound so great. You dig in and kind of a nasty sound on that. So I doubt Carcassi, and having gone through his method, he doesn't mention rest strokes anywhere. So I'm just going to say, well, Carcassi doesn't say do a rest stroke there, and I don't like doing a rest stroke there because it cuts off one of the notes. So therefore, I'm not going to do it. But you have to practice being able to play a nice, loud free stroke. So that's the first part of it there. Identify your melody, figure out what your pattern is. Now, as far as really getting that right hand solid, here's another controversial subject. I'm a big fan of planting, and planting is basically the following idea. When you're practicing, you're going to pluck one note, and you're going to put down the next one, like right as you pluck it, and it's going to be there for a second, and then you pluck that one, you put the next one down. So if I were to kind of demonstrate here, if I pluck a note, then I immediately put the next one down. Pluck a note, immediately put the next one down. Pluck a note, immediately put the next one down. And obviously you're not going to do it exactly like that when you're performing the piece because it can sound a little bit choppy, but you're still planting. You're just planting for a shorter period of time. So it'll sound legato, but you're going to really control the string. Basically, you have this choice. You can either control the note, control the string by landing on it and finding your point of reference and then following through, or you can swat at the string, and you don't want to do that. So I think it's really important to practice planting so that you're really clear and precise with the right hand. So that's that. So the right hand pretty much comes down to make sure you've got a good right hand fingering, make sure you know which notes you want to bring out over the other notes, in this case the melody, and then finally that you're planting and you're very accurate with how you're going to the string. So that's basically the right hand thought process for me in a nutshell here. Now as far as the left hand goes, the left hand in a way is more complicated here, even though most people consider this to be a right hand study since it's that arpeggio. But the left hand is actually harder. The left hand's jumping around, playing all these different chords. And I want to talk about a few of the basic things you want to look for with the left hand. And it comes down to, 3 or 4 concepts. One, finger preparation. I'm going to go through and show you what I mean by finger preparation here in a moment. Guide fingers, another concept, and I'll show you what I mean by guide fingers in a moment as well. And common fingers, sometimes they're called pivot fingers, as well as just being able to move from one chord to the next in the most relaxed and efficient way. So I'm not going to go through the whole piece because I think you'll get the idea after just a few measures here. So let me just start at the top, and right away we're gonna see what I mean by finger preparation. So if you watch my left hand, here's measure 1. Now see what my 3rd finger and my 4th finger are doing. They're not going to stay here, and then at the last second lunge toward that next chord. What you want to do is start moving them in the direction of that G sharp here on the 6th string, and then you're going to get the B here with your pinky on the 3rd string. So, see how that works? The other thing you can think about here, and a lot of people don't put much thought into this, but I certainly do because it makes things easier. I think about things that are going to make my life easier. So look at it this way. You're not going to play this chord and then just jump and try to play all of the notes in the next chord, because you don't have to. It's an arpeggio. So I'm going to put the fingers down as I need them. So I'm not only going to prepare 3 and 4, but I'm also going to put the fingers down only as I need them. So let me do that in slow motion here so you can see what I'm doing. Prepare. Now I'm going to put 3 down, and then I'm going to put 4 down, and then I'm going to put 2 down, and then I'm going to put 1 down. I'm going to only put them down as I need them, so it's like, it's not this. And then you're jumping to the whole next chord there. That can cause a lot of issues, as far as like choppiness goes. Also, you're just making your left hand harder, and that's not efficient. So you want to have as an efficient left hand technique as possible. So prepare the fingers and then put the fingers down only as you need them. So now right here, moving from this chord here, and then I move up. Notice I've got 2 fingers that stay on the same strings. 2 stays on the 3rd string, 1 stays on the 1st string, and they actually stay in the same shape as I move up from to, well, that's a double guide finger. You can keep them both, not down because you don't want that, but you just relax, stay on the string, and then shift quickly. Okay, so I just go through the whole piece thinking about these different things. Are there guide fingers? If I don't have to lift a finger, I don't lift a finger. Am I preparing the fingers as I need them? And you can just see as I go through here, watch what's always going on. As I move up, oops. So my pinky's ready to go. Here, pinky's ready to go. 3 and 4 are ready to go. And then finally, 4. 1 is down, but 2 is ready to go. Put it down and go through your whole piece like that. Really smooth out the left hand, and I think you'll find it's going to make things a lot easier for you to play. The last thing is just being able to shift from chord to chord. Change from chord to chord in as relaxed a way as possible. So, what you want to do is after you play a chord, you need to learn how to relax your hand so that you're moving to the new shape in as relaxed a way as possible. Too many people move their fingers tight, and that's how you get tendonitis and things like that, the things you don't want to get. So make sure you're also practicing relaxing your hand in between chords. A lot of people practice block chords for this. So right there, I just relax, and then I move to the new shape, relaxed, rather than moving tight. And that's the other thing you can do to really sort of smooth out that left hand. So just to kind of recap here, right hand, work out your pattern, make sure you know which notes you want to bring out, work on planting. Left hand, guide fingers, pivot fingers, finger preparations, relax in between your chords, and I think you'll find it's a lot more fun to play your pieces. And this is a great one to start with. So Etude number 3, Opus 60 by Carcassi. Well, I hope you've gotten something out of this, and look forward to seeing you in future videos.